Well, it's been absolutely hosing down with rain here all day, but mercifully the skies have cleared and it looks like being dry for the match. Webb returns at fullback for the Leeds Rhinos. Then they go Donald, Smith, Senior and Hall, Maguire and Burrow. Not too many weaknesses there. Up front, it's Luluai, Diskin and Peacock. Jamie Jones-Buchanan and Ablett. Kevin Sinfield's the skipper at loose forward. And on the bench, it's Lauatiti, Burgess, Worrell and young Mike Ratu. The coach is Brian McLennan. Warrington, Richie Mathers returns to the scene of former glory. Hicks, Johnson, Bridge and Carney, the three-quarter line. Grix is alongside Breers. The forwards, Morley, the former Leeds legend, returns. He's the captain of Warrington. Monaghan and Carvel complete the front row. Louis Anderson, Harrison and Westwood. And on the bench, it's Clark, Vinnie Anderson, Cooper and Mitchell. And the coach is Tony Smith. And Tony Smith, deep in thought, returning to Headingley for the first time since he left the Rhinos after their 2007 Grand Final triumph. He won 83 times as the Leeds head coach in 111 rounds in a truly incredible and memorable 4 years. These are the men who he has control of now. They arrive on the back of their biggest win of the season. The third highest score of the Super League era, 62-20 against Salford last week. But incredibly, they were 20 points to 12 down at half-time. The win against Salford was much needed. They'd lost the previous two at Huddersfield and at home to St Helens. And they almost creep onto the field, don't they? They didn't come out of that dressing room with any great rush, but their supporters are here. And there is Adrian Morley. An ex-Leeds legend, as I say, 6 years here, 149 appearances. And Brian Carney, debut against St Helens last month. This is his 4th game back, and he scored a try in each of his last 2. And everyone remembers the 2 tries that Carney scored here in that epic playoff win with Wigan in 2003. Leeds, they're hoping to record their 250th weekly round victory tonight at the 370th attempt. They led 10-0 at Wigan last week, then they crashed to their heaviest defeat of the season, and their worst since losing 38-10 in the playoffs last September. It was also their heaviest weekly round defeat since Castleford last March, also coincidentally by 38 points to 10. But the Leeds supporters hoping that they will get back to within 2 points of St Helens after their memorable win against Wigan last night. And Brent Webb is back to help them out. Tries home and away against Warrington in 2007, and he needs just one for 50 with Leeds. And Matt Diskin will play a big part as well. He reclaims his starting place with Danny Badiras out. Ian Smith is the match referee. Video referee watching closely is Ben Thaler. We're just about ready to go, and as I said, the rain that has been pouring down here in West Yorkshire for most of the day has cleared. This is a wonderful pitch for drainage, and it looks absolutely superb, doesn't it? We shall see as Warrington get the game in motion with Chris Bridges' kick-off. And the ball evaded Maguire, but was picked up by Jamie Peacock. Well, Steve, the big question, of course, on everyone's lips. Warrington, they've got a cup semi-final next week. Will they have one eye on that? Will they really take it to Leeds?
I think that they'll realise that Leeds were really taken apart by Wigan, especially in that second half last week. And the forwards just ripped into the Rhinos, and quite frankly, I'm sure that Tony Smith, the Warrington coach, he would have said to them straight away, Adrian Morley, this is your big opportunity, lead by example and really get into the ribs. I think it's going to be a fierce opening 15 minutes.
Peacock on the last, plays the ball to Diskin. Diskin finds Burrow. The kick from him is not good. Straight into the arms of Chris Hicks. Hicks will run it back, but only as far as Jamie Jones-Buchanan and Keith Senior. Breers waits at dummy half for Warrington. Ben Harrison. Peacock flew out and missed him. And Harrison gets Warrington to halfway. Ablett and Maguire are there, and they force him just back over into Warrington territory.
Such a big unit, isn't he? The big second rower, Harrison.
He is a big man as well. Gareth Carvel, bit of a man-mountain Gareth Carvel. Another man who had some time at Leeds, 3 years actually at Leeds, but he hardly played for the Rhinos. That's a great hit on Adrian Morley. Kylie Luluai just lined him up. Breers, this is Mathers. Burrow gets to him. Last tackle here for Warrington. Monaghan this time at dummy half. It's with Breers. He'll just dab the kick through. It'll turn Scott Donald around. It bounced kindly for Donald, though, didn't it? And it allowed him to run it back, but only as far as Grix and Paul Johnson.
Pretty crafty kick as well by the halfback Lee Breers. You could see that he had the backspin on it. Always very difficult. As he mentioned, we've had plenty of rain here, so the ground will be a little bit damp. A bit of a problem trying to handle this football, but up to now the Wolves' defence pretty solid.
Not standing square, Warrington. It's a penalty here, first of the match to the Leeds Rhinos.
Crafty play there by Matt Diskin. He knew it as well. He knew that they were very slow to get a first and second marker. Deliberately punched him through, had a little quick squint at Ian Smith and says, surely he's offside. Gets a penalty. The kicking game was very poor by Leeds as well last week. That's the one thing that Brian McLennan would have been working on all throughout their training sessions this week.
Luluai for the champions. A knock-on spotted by Ian Smith. Warrington congratulate the tackler and congratulate their defence.
Right underneath him, doesn't he? Morley.
That's one apiece, isn't it? Luluai cleaned him out earlier on. He's repaid the debt. You make the point about the pitch, Steve-O. It's well made. It will be damp, but nothing like it was in the reserve grade match that preceded this Super League battle here. They were splashing around all over the place in the reserve grade, but look how dry it looks now. It's a fantastic trainer, and of course next week this piece of grass will be covered in cars because the test match, the Ashes test, will be played right next door behind that stand we're looking at now. And of course it's live on Sky Sports all 5 days, providing the weather stays kind, unlike it has been today at Edgbaston. But still, England are one up in the series. Here is Westwood, and he's got Mathers in support, and Warrington over for the first try. Richie Mathers for Warrington. Great little break from Westwood, and what a sweet moment for Richie Mathers. Formerly with Leeds, 2 grand final appearances for the Rhinos. Went to Leeds, was with Leeds in 2006, Gold Coast 2007, Wigan 2008, Warrington 2009. Regaining confidence under Tony Smith, and that's evident here.
All came about by the big hit. Went very low, did Carvel, finished off by Morley. A little knock on. What about the pass there? That was superb by Michael Monaghan. Westwood knew exactly where the gap was going to be. That was a planned move. You can smell the fact that Richard Mathers is going to come right back on the inside. Super work. Leeds really caught napping there. They can't afford to allow Michael Monaghan to run from dummy half and create the extra space.
Bridge adds the extras. Warrington lead by 6 points to 0. Perfect start for the Wolves. Perfect start for Tony Smith up in his old stamping ground, the back of that stand over there. That was where he always used to sit as Leeds coach, and alongside him another former Leeds favourite, Jimmy Lowes, of course, who is his assistant. Well, what a start for the Wolves, Phil.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the most difficult skills in rugby league. You got the man behind the player of the ball to run out quickly, to get away from the defenders who are stood around there, and yet then be able to find the pass. A lot of people can run quickly from the dummy half position. A lot of players can pass it accurately from there. But to combine the two, Eddie, is a very unique skill that Michael Monaghan does better than most.
Well, Michael Monaghan, it's his 50th appearance for Warrington last week, and this is his 4th in a row at hooker. It's the position where he excelled, of course, for Manly in the NRL in 2006 and 2007. There he is again. He's in at dummy half, waiting for Carvel to play the ball to him, and he finds Breers, who goes for a deep kick. And it's not a bad kick either, because it's spun away from Ryan Hall, and it allows Warrington the opportunity to close up and chase him down, which is what they do in the shape of Westwood and Morley. Now, Brent Webb for Leeds. So important to this Leeds side, Brent Webb, missing last week. Penalty here he gets because Westwood wouldn't release him.
Just held on a little bit too long there, did Westwood. Just spin him on his back, but he'd already been called held by the official. Well, I've been very impressed with the way that the Wolves, especially the forwards, they're eager to get into the faces and the ribs of this Leeds Rhino outfit. They look a little bit sluggish, I must say. Got to wake up, get some spark very quickly indeed.
Jamie Jones-Buchanan, not too much progress forward, courtesy of the Morley tackle low down. Diskin finds Sinfield, he finds Burrow, flat pass then to Ablett, and he is wrestled to the ground. Good tackling by Simon Griggs. Diskin, and Maguire's pass inside, well that had a big red cross on it, Peacock really felt that.
Didn't miss, did he? Louis Anderson.
Here's Burrow, showed it to Luluai, gave it to Webb. Senior now for the Rhinos. Gets the pass away to Ryan Hall. He's on his way into touch. That's great Warrington defence again.
They're working as a unit with the Wolves. They are really up for this, and Brian McLennan will be fully aware that they have got a real test on their hands today. Boy, they have come out with fire in their bellies, this mob.
There's Ryan Hall. He is the leading scorer in the Super League, but he's gone 3 games now without a try.
But you can get your worst defender, Eddie, to tackle the way that Lee Breers did on Keith Senior. Then you know you're in a chance. You want those players to be interested in defences there and attack, and really good effort there by Lee Breers to stop Keith Senior. He stopped his momentum, obviously didn't stop the ball, but they saw off the attacking threat, and I'm sure Keith Senior will want to try and get at him again.
Ryan Carney is grounded on tackle number 3. Leeds coming in with the heavy artillery, and Monaghan with a kick downfield looking for a 40-20. Brent Webb is herring after this. It's bounced the wrong way for Warrington, bounced perfectly for Webb.
This is where Leeds want to play the part of the game. They want to be really dominant, but just watch the way that Michael Monaghan is pointing at Diskin every time that the Warrington side have got the ball. They know that there's only one recognised hooker playing for Leeds. It'll be interesting to see if Kevin Sinfield goes there in the latter stages this half.
Here is Diskin again. He finds Keith Senior. Breers and Bridge do the job on Senior once again. They're right on the halfway line, and Diskin goes down the short side, bounces off Breers. Bridge finished him off. Here is Webb, who gets it infield to Sinfield. It's Luluai. That's the last tackle for Leeds, this set of 6. Sinfield with the kick over the top with the left foot. And Mathers has got work to do. He's let that one go, Mathers.
Now then, has he been deemed to have put the ball dead in goal?
I think he made a complete mess of it, and Lee Breers does as well.
Now he gets a hand to it, Eddie, but is it going backwards? Has he defused it in the in-goal area? This is going to be a difficult one for Ben Taylor, the video referee. It's a beautiful kick. Well weighted by Sinfield. Now then, he loses it there. I don't think he gets it down. He does.
Ryan Hall has.
But has he got there first? Now, I don't think he touches it down with his fingers. I think you'll have to say that that is a loose carry. I don't think there's anything deliberate, but who gets there first? That's a try. Ryan Hall will be given the nod on this one. What an error, should I say. A hero 1 minute, Mathers with the first try of the game, and he comes up with a boo-boo, puts his head in his hands and said, I have made a right mess of this.
Well, you can't possibly call that grounding.
Well, I don't think so. I think he's trying to pick it up. So therefore, he can't say that he's grounded it. I don't really know how you're going to take the rule step by step. Has he grounded it?
Surely you cannot say that that is grounded. That's moving all the time.
I think he's just lost control of it. I would not classify that as being grounded. He didn't intend to. Leeds, meanwhile, they've gone right back to prepare for the kickoff. And Ryan Hall gets there first, that's for sure.
Well, it looks like it might be Ryan Hall's 20th try of this season in his 50th career appearance. And it is 50 career appearances if you include the 1 cap for England that he won earlier this year. 20 tries for Leeds Rhinos in the Super League season, the top scorer, and the first time he scored in 3 games. That's the most barren spell he's had this year.
It's amazing. Leeds, you know, they've attacked all the time down that right-hand side defensive. And that's where Lee Breers is. It was a beautiful kick there. Sinfield says, let's utilise it. But
maybe the video referee should look at the reaction of Richie Mathers there. Yeah. He kicked himself up. We had a lot of debate. Well, Tony Smith shakes his head. I don't think he's shaking his head about the decision. I think he's shaking his head about the mistake.
How good was the kick, though, with Kevin Sinfield with his left foot? I mean, if he kicked that with his dominant kicking foot, which is his right, as we'll see him take this kick, you'd still be impressed with the length and accuracy. But with his left foot?
And now with the right foot he goes for the extras, but he's missed it. Just pushed it in front of the posts. But Leeds 4, Warrington 6.
Well,
Rhinos given the try.
It's an amazing error to say that Richie Mathers, he was in a wonderful position. He anticipated that they were going to cut down that short side, kick right through. It was a gift for this man.
And that just goes to show, doesn't it, Steve? You can't give up on a chase. If the ball's there and it's not grounded, everything is a contest in rugby league.
Richie Mathers, a hero 4 minutes ago, a villain right now. Such is life. It's a tough game.
Well, he had 3 options, didn't he? He had the option to try attempt to ground the ball in goal. His second option, Eddie, was to push the ball over the dead ball line. And his third and most difficult was to pick the ball up and try and run back into play. I don't think his body and hands were close enough to the ball when he tried to pick it up. Here's another penalty here.
Yes,
we often see Leeds go the length in this set here now.
I think he had a 4th option, didn't he, to boot the ball to Dewsbury.
And to be fair, from just looking at the game up here, all them options are going through his mind, and he just doesn't know which one to do. Obviously came up with a mistake.
Well, he'll not want us, and he will not want to dwell on that error for too much longer. Leeds restart on the halfway line. Disc into Luluai. And they went hunting for Luluai. It was a high shot.
No doubt about it. You can see Morley went with a swinging left arm. Ooh. Connected too. Just a few words of wisdom being said by Ian Smith, the official, and rightly so. Keep them down.
And
more pressure.
They gained 30 metres there with that kick. Here is Diskin again. Luluai will carry it forward once more, and Morley will come out with Carvel to try and stop him, which they do. Diskin finds Burrow. Burrow gives it to Jamie Jones-Buchanan. Ben Harrison was there, and so too Ben Westwood. Diskin. Burrow, scampering run from Rob Burrow.
And again they come down this left-hand side.
Hold, go.
Diskin once again. We'll give it to Sinfield. Then back it goes to Maguire. Not the best, but it's turned into a good pass. Lee Smith.
Should have looked to
Warrington
offload.
scrambled back. Johnson, an important tackle. Maguire, Peacock. Gets them to within a half metre on the last tackle. And Diskin. Back it goes to Maguire. Will hoist the kick, looking for Ryan Hall. Hicks does extremely well. And Hicks does even better.
Well, I think a few of the Leeds players thought perhaps that he'd been caught him down and then they allowed him to wriggle away. Kevin Sinfield appealing to Ian Smith, saying he thought he'd lost it. And that's a high shot now. It's getting a bit tasty out there.
Yes, a high shot on Morley.
And you can see Leeds skipper just with a few words to the man with the whistle, saying surely that was a knock-on. Let's see if we can see anything from here. It looks all right, but that was a high shot.
Peacock being penalised, 6th appearance in a row, and as inspirational as ever, but he'll want to just get the tackling technique sorted out. Monaghan, Carvel, that's better from Peacock, good hit across the chest.
Interesting, we haven't seen Lee Breers inject himself yet. He looks as though he's going to get the first receiver now.
Here is Griggs, drops the ball off on the inside for Johnson.
Surrender. Stand.
Monaghan is the dummy half for Warrington here. And Breers to Westwood, again that ball looking for Westwood. Senior saw to it that Westwood would not make progress this time. Monaghan, dummy half to Breers. Breers scampers inside a couple. Tried to get himself very much involved in the attack then. Will play the ball here to Monaghan. He'll give it to Griggs, and Griggs will chase it himself. Donald has got work to do. Oh, brilliantly done. Just evaded the chaser, who was Louis Anderson.
It was a neat step, wasn't it? It had to be as well. It's a big fella, Anderson. Nick and Rory was really steaming on at him. That's good play, the ball. That's quick play. Hitting the crowd don't like it. They thought that the two markers not standing square.
Ablett has hold of it for the Leeds Rhinos, who have now scored 101 Super League tries. Only St Helens have scored more. Only Huddersfield 61, and it's still 61 after last night because they didn't concede anything at Hull. Only they have a better defence. Mathers picks up the rubber kick down the line. Steady away this time for Mathers.
You can see there's a real problem with Brian Carney on the left wing for Warrington. His right arm's dropped down his shoulder. He's pointing at the players that they've got to get in behind to play the ball. You can see he's just getting treatment now, I think.
And he leaves the field. So there's a major problem there for Brian Carney as Morley takes it forward. What about the offload? That could be a big injury for Warrington, bearing in mind what's coming up next week. This is Carvel. Monaghan on halfway, has a scamper from dummy half, gives it to Breers. Breers had to reach forward for that.
Again, we see a little run from Monaghan. They'll be very, very cautious about that. Don't give him any room to move.
High kick here from Grix, but not the best. It's very long and easy for Webb. Monaghan there, and Ben Westwood to bring the New Zealand international down. Oh, that ball is lost.
That'll be the knock-on. A forced error there. Good work by Ben Westwood.
Try scorers are having a nightmare.
Ryan Hall just lost control of it completely.
With loose forward, Rob. With your loose forward.
Well, we said the ball might be somewhat slippery.
Hands round, 2 hands.
It's very damp out there. It doesn't look it, but I can assure you it is.
Grix. They go wide to Vinnie Anderson, just on for Brian Carney. Paul Johnson has moved out to the wing to replace him. So Vinnie Anderson will be playing in the centres by the looks of it.
Just saying Warrington look very, very confident. Getting over the advantage line, not doing anything too fancy at the moment. Tony Smith will be quite happy with the positional play.
Monaghan. Good run from Monaghan. Great ball from Monaghan. Great try from Vinnie Anderson. Monaghan, a sensational run and a lovely pass. And Vinnie Anderson over for the latest try, only just on. This is his 60th appearance for Warrington. It's his 7th try of the season. He's missed the last couple. His most recent appearance was as a substitute against St Helens, who he helped to the Super League double in 2006 with the Challenge Cup, but he missed both big finals. He's hungry.
There's the error from the big fella, Ryan Hall, and from this, they just can't afford to let him run like this. Leeds are just standing and being mesmerised by the halfback work from the hooker Michael Monaghan. Look at this. First and second markers not having gone anywhere near him. That's the 4th time we've seen Monaghan run, get plenty of space. Brian McLennan, the Rhinos coach, will be furious about it.
Chris Bridge, successful with his first kick. Can he make it 12-4 in Warrington's favour? 20 metres out on the angle, and he finds the mark. It's Leeds Rhinos 4, Warrington 12. Warrington are here to do business.
Look at all that space, that's amazing. You can't afford to do that. And as soon as he got the dummy, went through, the gap was there. So simple.
It's difficult to defend, Steve-O. When Monaghan gets out, he's got the ball in 2 hands. He's looking for options inside and outside. That's why Kevin Sinfield stood off. He didn't know what play Monaghan was going to come up with.
The referee has given a knock-on here against Chris Hicks, or was, and the referee shouted knock-on, and they're saying, or Ian Smith is telling Warrington, that it touched his foot and then went on to his hand. Maybe that was a call from the touch judge, who might have been closer to the action than the referee.
Heads in, Michael.
Well, maybe he's right. At least that's the view the touch judge had.
Well, I think he's got rid of it before, hasn't he? Oh, very fortunate.
And Scott Donald will have a little scamper from dummy half. Warrington muscling up in defence again. Diskin finds Peacock, who'll charge it in once more. Diskin, Maguire. Here's Ablett. Warrington, good defence on show again. Peacock steps inside, down he goes. Applause from the Warrington supporters behind the post for the defence of Warrington so far. Sinfield slides the kick in again, looking for Ryan Hall. Chris Hicks gets it once again. This time he is trapped in goal, and Leebray is leading the appeal that Hicks was in the in-goal earlier when he picked that up.
No, I think it came from the field of play, which he did quite clearly.
Spot on, the referee.
Beautiful kick though, wasn't it, by the skipper Kevin Sinfield. He took it well though, under a lot of pressure.
Second set of 6 in quick succession from Leeds. Another good kick from Sinfield, this.
Not a bad take though, is it? Really jumped high. Great stuff.
Let's go down to Rodford. News on Brian Carney.
Well, it's not good news, Eddie. I'm afraid to say that the early prognosis on Brian Carney's injury is that he's broken his arm. I stress that that is an early prognosis, and obviously he's going to have to go for x-rays, but that is what the Warrington medical staff reckon at the moment. Here's the injury. This is where he did it, just going into a challenge with Carl Ablett, and he's come off just in an innocuous-looking challenge, and it looks as though it may well be broken, and that really, in sporting terms, is a tragedy so soon after he returned to rugby league. But that's the early prognosis, Eddie.
Well, that is a bitter blow for Brian Carney and a bitter blow for Warrington. Jamie Jones-Buchanan, here is Brent Webb, not tackled. He is now by Chris Hicks. Diskin at dummy half, finds Burrow. Burrow on the fly to Maguire, who steps out of the challenge of Louis Anderson. Slides the kick in for Scott Donald, too deep. Oh, I tell you what, he's got that down. Is he onside? I was about to say that's too deep for Donald, but Donald, well, he has got jets on his heels. He's so quick.
Beautiful kick by Maguire. He's onside, don't worry about that. He's a good meter behind the kicker.
I honestly thought, Steve, well, this ball had skimmed off the wet turf and would run touching goal.
I'm with you, but look at this. Oh, that is a wonderful effort. Unbelievable. That's what they get paid for. That's why the speedsters. Confirmation, TRY, here it comes.
Ben Thaler agrees, the try is given.
Boy, we're in for the try-fest here.
Looks like Scott Donald, 9th try of Super League 14, after a little bit of a barren spell for him as well. 1 try in 10. This is now his 6th successive scoring appearance, as you can see there. 2 tries in last year's 32-12 win against Warrington here.
Pinpoint, get the kick right, back on the inside, snap it right the way through. You could see that there was winger, was nowhere to be seen. He's in no man's land as Johnson, playing centre of course today, but they should have been switching to get him back. Heaps of space, but what about the speed?
Sinfield to try and add the extras, this time from the other side, and he has missed another. It's at 12-8 Warrington.
Well, this is amazing, isn't it? 2 runs from dummy half by Monaghan, 2 tries come for it, 2 knock-ons by Leeds, which allow Warrington to get the ball and score those 2 tries, 2 kicks from Leeds, and they score their 2 tries.
Interesting, the man who is out there carrying the water and carrying the kicking tee for Warrington, I do believe, is Chris Riley. And if Brian Carney has broken his arm, which is the early prognosis, I think Chris Riley will be making a very swift return to the Warrington side. Left out of the 19 today, he is. And there's another penalty for Leeds.
Well, it's becoming a bit of a problem for Tony Smith.
Bit of a flop from Mike Cooper.
Just messing around as well. That's a 3rd penalty that they've given away to allow the Rhinos to get well and truly out of their own quarter.
Here's Luke Burgess. Sub in each of the last 11, Luke Burgess. This is Maguire. Now Sinfield. Back it comes to Burrow. He finds Webb. Webb drops it off for Senior. Monaghan, Bridge and Westwood do the job on Keith Senior. Here now is Burrow. Peacock had to spin away from Cooper and company. Can't do so. That's tackle number 4. Matt Diskin. On the play the ball, finds Sinfield. Short ball from him to Burgess. Good hit. Good hit in defence from Ben Harrison. Diskin. Maguire slides the kick in again, looking for the quick man, and this time Mathers to the rescue.
What a surprise, it's causing all sorts of problems in this Warrington defence, but Mathers equal to the task there. Maguire putting the boot to him. Mathers knew exactly what was happening on that account. Not surprisingly, Tony Smith would have got the message out and say, hey, listen, when Donald was allowed a free run into the corner, sort yourself out in defence. They did on that occasion.
Shallow drop out from Lee Breers to Lee Smith. Cooper had a grab at him, and Morley finished him off. Quick play the ball though from Leeds. Diskin, Burgess. Burgess goes down 20 metres away on the second tackle. Here is Diskin. Maguire, short ball from him to Ablett, takes the return. Maguire gets it to Sinfield. Sinfield steps inside. Monaghan can't step inside the next two.
I'm not so sure they took the right option there. There's a huge gap if he'd have run straight.
Diskin finds Burrow. Here's Big Ali Lawatite. The former New Zealand international, now for Samoa. Senior. Tried to go over the top of Breers. Last one here for Leeds Rhinos. With Burrow. Another kick. Another kick. And another try, is it?
He'll go to the screen again with Ian Smith. We're hitting all sorts of problems, as we mentioned, the kicking game from Leeds.
3 things to look at: onside, offside, challenge in the air, and grounding.
Beautiful kick though from Burrow. Always a confusion when you're getting anywhere near the goalpost. This went pretty close to the crossbar, did it? Not so sure whether that's okay. Bricks has definitely got to the ball first.
Yes, but was collision made with Griggs beforehand? I think, Eddie, we need to see that again. Now, is he pushed in the back there as he jumps for the ball? I think he was. From the first position we saw, I thought that he was challenged in there by Lee Smith, the number 3. I would disallow it with just the naked eye on the first viewing.
Well, this will probably clear it up a little bit easier, but does Lee Smith go for the football? He's attempting for it. I think this is play on. I think that Brent Webb may be given this try. Definitely Simon Griggs that gets a fingertip to it. Now, has Lee Smith interfered? Is he going for the ball? Well, he is on that occasion.
Well, that's what they're looking at now.
Yeah, has he made the impact before he's going for the... I think this might be given. Now, Lee Smith is looking at the football, which is often deemed to be that there's no interference. Has he been pushed away, Griggs? This is a big call for Ben Thaler. If he looks to see whether Webb has got it down right, so this will be no try.
Yeah, they haven't looked at the grounding again. And I think Ben Thaler might agree with Phil Clark. He does. Brent Webb looks a bit perplexed because Leeds have all funneled their way back for the kick-off. Well, Leeds were convinced it was a try.
It was a big call, wasn't it, really, when you think about it? It's got to be the penalty.
Lee Breers was telling the referee then, Ian Smith, having a bit of a joke with him. He wanted to get on with it because Leeds were all up the other end of the field.
Well, if anything, I think it evens things up because the play before the previous try that Donald scored, I think there was an obstruction. Keith Senior ran through when Webb got the ball. We might look at it at half-time or after the match. The referee didn't see that because obviously it was just a normal play, but there was obstruction on that, without a doubt. And here now, a further penalty.
Yes, this is a flop against Peacock.
Well, the lack of concentration from both sides, from some of the more experienced senior players, giving away these silly penalties. It's frustrating for both the coaches, Brian McLennan and Tony Smith.
Well, they've been on the wrong side of the penalty count, Leeds, in 9 of their last 11 games. But incredibly, despite that, they have won 9 of those 11.
And one of their biggest problems, they went through a period where all the team, and I mean all the team, started to have a nice little conversation with the man with the whistle. The back chat to the referee was becoming a nuisance.
Hold, go.
Here is John Clark, who finds Monaghan, and now it's Breers, and he gives it to Mathers, who in turn gives it to Bridge.
Surrender!
Bridge went down, just lost his footing. Mathers again, and Grix. Big hit by Lauatiti, that's the last tackle for Warrington. Monaghan goes into dummy half now. He and Clark will swap that role, as they will swap the scrum half duties, I think. High kick, looking out wide. That's knocked forward by Scott Donald. Knock on. So it's head and feet here to Warrington.
Not happy, is he, Scott Donald, but it's quite clear that he gets a fingertip to it.
Well, this is that play I was talking about, obstruction. I think as Webb receives the ball, he's on the inside of Keith Senior. Keith Senior then runs through. Technically, he is in an obstruction position there.
I don't think there's much in that, Phil. I don't think there's anywhere near.
Here's Mathers. Mathers again, trying to skirt round Burrow. Mathers goes down in the tackle with Ryan Hall as well. Breers to Bridge. Pops it up to Westwood. Westwood just bounces Burrow out of the way. Took 3 to bring him down in the end. And Monaghan waits. Will fire this to Clark. Clark then to Bridge. Bridge, good ball to Grix. There's a hole for Grix. There's a big hole for Grix. If he grounds this, he's over, but that's scrambling Leeds defence.
It had to be as well. It was a wonderful run.
And that's Ben Harrison. Referee hasn't given this one either.
I think it's tackle 3, check the obstruction.
Well,
He wants to check for obstruction here.
But this is shocking defence by Leeds. There's about 5 players. Look at that. What do you expect? There's no one else there.
It's the man there doing on the run through. Is it?
Well, Diskin
John
runs.
Clark?
No, Diskin goes straight through to Clark straight away. There's Clark running towards to get the ball. And there's Diskin.
I think it's just a bad call by Diskin.
I think so. I don't think that this try can be turned down. But Brian McLennan will be furious. There was 5 or 6 players round the play the ball area. Oh, I can't believe that. Well, that's amazing.
John Clark was just doing his job, wasn't he?
He was just running towards and give the impression that he was going to be the first receiver.
With your right arm. It's marginal, but it's still a penalty.
He is, I suppose, he's in an offside position almost, John Clark.
Why? Why is he offside?
John Clark's behind the ball.
Yeah, he does step, to be fair. On that last shot there, you can see that John Clark steps off his left foot and just puts the shoulder into Matt Diskin.
Was John Clark not in front of the play the ball, or at least level?
I don't think he was, no. And he's allowed to be in that position, ready to take the pass. Who's to say that they weren't going to pass him the ball?
But it's chalked off anyway. Leeds with a bit of an escape. The ball is lost. Cooper gives it to Vinnie Anderson.
Surrender!
Vinnie Anderson will play the ball here to Monaghan. Monaghan will give it to Breers, and Burrow and Senior combine to bring Lee Breers down. Clark waits.
Well,
Harrison.
It's levelled everything off, hasn't it? Webb wiped off, no try. Harrison, no try.
Clark to Breers meanwhile. Back it goes to Mathers. And Mathers, the pass was behind Bridge and behind Hicks.
Good work by Lulawai. Lauatiti, should I say. He enjoyed it as well, and he's having a little bit of a smile at the opposition.
Well, he's having a little bit of a go at Richie Mathers here.
Nice build-up, just a very poor pass at the end. And again, you see the winger overrunning the pass. Happens so often, doesn't it?
Simon Worrell's on the field. He didn't make it on throughout the course of last week against Wigan, but he's there now, and he plays the ball to Diskin. Sinfield. No way forward for Luke Burgess. interesting that Leeds are leading the missed tackle count by some measure compared to Warrington.
Well, it doesn't surprise me any, because they've been all at sea, especially in and around the play the ball area.
Here goes Diskin again.
Tried to milk the penalty. Crowd helping him on his way.
Burrow with a scampering run. Burrow with a... loses it.
Was it dragged away?
Dragged away by Vinnie Anderson.
Yeah, it was. That should have been a knock-on.
Very difficult for the referees, though,
he doesn't have the replay.
to judge about things like that.
Just came and ricocheted through in the heat of the moment, but...
Looked for all the world like a loose carry, didn't it, by Burrow?
But Anderson certainly flipped at it.
Go. Well done.
Monaghan, Harrison again.
Surrender! Stand! 3, wait.
Monaghan waits once more. The tackle then by Worrell and Burgess, and Breers goes for a 40-20. But Ryan Hall sees to it that he doesn't get one.
Surrender! Stand!
And again, very basic play by Warrington. I just get the impression that they're conserving that energy.
Stand! Go. 2.
Sinfield.
3.
He goes down in the
10
tackle.
meters. Hold. Go.
Diskin again. Here's Lee Smith. Just an ankle tap from Ben Harrison. That was enough. Diskin once more. Gives it to Maguire. He gives a short pass to Worrell, who loses it again against Vinnie Anderson.
That's a knock-on. And I think he's been assisted there by the touch judge. That was definitely reefed out, and it did go forward.
Same culprit as well, by the way. It was Vinnie Anderson just a few minutes ago. Vinnie Anderson again here.
Well, to be fair, with the man with the whistle, he said play on, and then was obviously given the late call. But whipped away, did go forward.
There's the touch judge and the referee working in unison.
And that's what they should do.
So Leeds head and feed in a dangerous position. Maguire shows it to Webb, gives it to Senior on the charge. He loses it. Westwood gives it then to Chris Hicks. Leeds in disarray in defence. Burgess gets to Hicks.
Good job he did as well. That was good play from Hicks. Yeah, well, the Warrington side was screaming that the player couldn't get up and get on with a quick play of the ball. And Ian Smith obliged.
While you're watching that, Chris Bridge is limping rather heavily. There he is, the bottom of your screen, number 25 in white. This is Westwood, meanwhile, for Warrington.
Hold. Go.
And this now is Mike Cooper again, taking on Diskin, taking on Burgess.
They've got to keep an eye on Monaghan.
The ball's come free, it's a knock-on.
Well, Cooper doesn't look impressed. It's hard to see whether he's lost control there, but seems to have not bobble out, seems to shoot out. Shakes his head in disbelief.
Come on.
We'll see better from this end. No, we won't.
Heads in. Out.
Senior for Leeds. They trail 12-8 on the scoreboard. 34.5 minutes gone, 5.5 to half-time, therefore. Here's Worrell. He'll play the ball to Kevin Sinfield.
3.
Diskin now. Burgess. Jamie Jones-Buchanan, another mistake from Leeds. The handling error count is alarming from the champions.
Well, to be fair, I do not like to see players offload the ball when they're just not looking at where it's going to go. I know Jones-Buchanan normally's got safe hands, but it really irritates me when you see a big lumbering forward like that just offload, and it's hard to get into the swing of it.
Almost 200 games for the Leeds Rhinos. Jamie Jones-Buchanan. This, by the way, is his 28th birthday today. So far, not a very happy birthday, because his team trail on the scoreboard.
Play ball! Go.
Now, Clark. And this is Johnson.
3. Move!
Warrington seem to have got the measure.
Monaghan, Carvel.
Very basic rugby league football.
4.
sensational run from Gareth Carvell. He and Morley form props in Super League. Breers, back he comes to Westwood. Westwood, and he was lucky then, Senior, that Westwood slipped. He took a tumble over a stray leg. Monaghan, it's Breers, slides the kick in. Sinfield to the rescue. Goal line dropout. Tony Smith's game plan seems to be working to perfection at the moment.
Yeah, just hard work by the forward, get them in a good attacking position. You've got the quality of Lee Breers, the short kicking game into the corner. He'll be happy with it. Tap on the counter says, yeah. Good job he was around.
Yes, Sinfield to the rescue. 42 tackles against Wigan last week for Kevin Sinfield, and that was his 300th start for the Rhinos. This is his goal line dropout that gets as far as Breers, who gives it to Cooper, and the youngster will run it back as far as Lauatiti and Senior. Bit of help there as well from Luke Burgess. Monaghan down this short side. Battered by Lauatiti.
Didn't miss him on that occasion, but yet it's a warning to them, isn't it?
Westwood.
But allowing Monaghan just to control it, running time to time, offloads on this occasion.
To Breers, to Clark, and here is Mathers. Couldn't get the pass away. There were 2 men out wide.
Good work from Donald. He knew exactly he was coming on the second phase.
Johnson and Griggs were waiting for that ball to be fed left. They're still there. That's the last tackle. 10 metres away from the champions' line. This is Clark. Now Breers. Will he slide the kick through? Yes, he does. And there was a collision in back play then. And there's a penalty to Warrington.
The player definitely was taken out. And again, the lovely little kick through from Lee Breers is controlling it there. And you see Senior come and just flatten one of the players. I think it was... let's see what it was. Chris Briggs he took down. Either way, the penalty.
And they're not taking the kick at goal. They're going to tap it and run it here and go for broke. That's Breers. Halted on the first by the birthday boy. Monaghan is waiting. And Monaghan will turn it to Westwood. Westwood couldn't get through the tackle low down by Rob Burrow. Monaghan coming this way again. And there's a chance here. That ball finds its way into touch. That's good Leeds defence.
Certainly was. Tried on that squeeze in on that line side on the right-hand side there. Good work by Burrow. Tremendous stuff. To be head and feet to Leeds.
Yeah, they went down there 3 times, didn't they, to take on Burrow. And look at
He's having the time of his life, isn't he, Ali Lauatiti? Boy, he really does enjoy his rugby league.
Entering the final minute of this first half.
I think that's an indication. You can sometimes gauge what teams have worked on in the week and what they really place a massive emphasis on. They're celebrating their defence as much as they celebrate a try, and I think that Leeds know if they want to get back to the grand final this year and have a chance of winning it, they need to improve the defence. If you look at the last 5 games, Eddie, they've conceded an average of about 24 points a match, and that's too many for a side who want to lift the big prize.
3.
They're having trouble getting away from their own line here, this set of 6. Burgess will play it here to Diskin, who'll find Maguire.
Play on.
Again, decent defence. Clark finishes Lee Smith off on the floor. Here's Diskin once more. Ooh, that looked as though it might have been a forward pass to Worrell. Last one. Good defence on show from Warrington now.
Certainly is, but there's a lack of spark, isn't there, in the Rhinos' attack?
It's all right.
It's not a bad kick.
Right down the middle of the field. And Mathers showed it to Hicks. Took the responsibility himself. Goes down. And that will probably do us, I would think. The half-time siren will sound, and it's Warrington's half. They lead here by 12 points to 8. Mathers, he scored the first try, then he came up with the blunder that led to the Leeds first try. Anderson added another for Warrington, 12-4. Donald had another try for the champions. Neither of the Leeds tries converted, both the Warrington tries converted, hence the reason we have a 12-8 scoreline at half-time. Here at half-time, Warrington's last win at Headingley, 18-17 in the playoff in September 2006. They're halfway towards achieving another success tonight. And they were at Headingley in the very first round of Super League, way back in 1996. It was the 31st of March when they won here 22 points to 18. Yestin Harris, a try and 5 goals for Warrington. He was the star of the show, and not long after that, of course, he moved to Leeds, and the rest, as they say, is history. Warrington with the ball first off this second half. Carvel. You feel, Steve-O, that Leeds need to inject a bit of pace into this match.
Well, they need someone out there with a bit of spark. I just mentioned several times that Warrington are controlling the game, good kick and chase. They're not doing anything at any speed, and that's a knock-on. That goal was lucky there.
He got away with that, didn't he? The referee shakes his head.
Scott Donald shakes the head. Ooh, that looked like a knock-on for mine, but yeah, they've just got to get some spark out there. We haven't seen Danny Maguire take on the defence. It's is there a problem with Maguire? Is just utilised himself, first receiver, just shifting the ball out wide at a time where Leeds need someone to come up with something a little bit different.
Here's Jamie Jones-Buchanan. He gets Leeds over the halfway line on tackle number 4, tackled by Bridge and Westwood and Diskin. That's a good run from dummy half. Webb. Good work from Bridge, though. And it's Maguire. Will hoist the kick high and wide. And it's claimed by Johnson.
Good take as well. Well, the 2 tries that did come to Leeds, they came from kicks, so it gives you some indication that their attack is not really worrying the Wolves' defence.
This is Mike Cooper for Warrington. A substitute in the last 5, the 20-year-old, and 6 of the last 7. He's starting to re-establish himself under Tony Smith. Oh, that's high.
Got away with it, but the most important thing, and I'm sure that Tony Smith has utilised this ploy, Warrington, they're just taking it so slow. They're not rushing. Oh, that's an error. Bad error.
That's an error from Johnson. Couldn't take the pass in. They congratulate Scott Donald for the challenge. It's Warrington's head and feed.
Wow,
off the fingers of Scott Donald, obviously.
Yep. He went for the football. That's good combination between the touch judge and the man in the middle. But
This is Griggs for Warrington.
Look how Warrington lost it. Oh, that was a real mess.
Looks like there might be a problem here for Griggs.
Yeah, he doesn't look well, does he? Tried his best to see it goes right at the ball. They gone for the ball carrying arm. That would have been deemed just getting involved in the tackle. And
oh, another problem for Warrington.
Yeah.
Griggs making his way to the sideline. Well, they've managed to steer clear of major injuries, Warrington, for a wee while, but they might have picked up a couple here tonight at the wrong time of the season. They've certainly got a problem with Brian Carney. They might have a problem with Simon Griggs. And Brian Carney has confirmed himself, apparently, that it's a break. So he has broken his arm. So a very expensive 43, 44 minutes we've seen here for Warrington. Diskin to Sinfield. Here is Burrow, and he finds Worrell with a bit of space. But that's quickly closed down by the tackle from Lee Mitchell. Down the short side, Lee Smith to Donald. He comes off the whitewash. He had to. Johnson offered him the outside path, but he thought better of it, and rightly so. Burrow slides the kick in, looking for Brent Webb, but only finds Lee Breers instead, who does well.
Tremendous stuff.
Oh, he's lost that ball.
Oh, now then, has it been taken? Well, it's a tap.
When he lost it forward, sure there was no advantage for Leeds. They've been very lucky here.
Lawatiti knocks it out. But did he go forward? Did he go backwards? Well, that appeared to me as though he went backwards. Either way, Warrington will not be arguing about the issue.
Well, Lautiti certainly attacked the ball, didn't he?
But did he attack it going backwards? Therefore, it should have been play on. Either way.
Well, it was, and then Burrow knocked the ball dead, so it was a tap on the 20.
Okay.
You want these specs? Clark. Mitchell. Does well. Ooh, Clark handles it off to Cooper.
I made the point earlier in that midway through that first half, Eddie, is the way that Warrington, they're not rushing and playing the ball quickly. They just want to get on with. That's a beautiful pass, isn't it?
Johnson, he's got support. He has support from Vinnie Anderson. And that's a knock-on by brother Louis. Leeds escape. Tony Smith knows his team have spurned a glorious opportunity here to increase their lead.
Good work though, Webb, you know. He put himself in between. He forced Johnson. When they made the break, watch how Webb puts himself in between. That is great. It just slowed the attack down sufficiently enough for them to get back, and then it was a poor pass, wasn't it? Or was it the case of brother Anderson overran it?
Well, Leeds won't be arguing, that's for sure.
No, very, very fortunate indeed. If there's one man out there who can change it for Leeds, it's this fella. It's about to play the ball. Ali Lautiti. He's done it so often, get the Rhinos out of a huge hole. Warrington, of course, they only missed one tackle in that first half. Leeds, they missed 8. Shows you the difference in defensive quality.
Burrow. Penalty to Warrington. Obstruction.
Well, it's always a risk, isn't it, when you utilise a dummy runner? Remember, the try was disallowed when Diskin was obstructed by Clark. I mean, there's barely anything in that, isn't it?
Well, dummy runners are part and parcel of the game, but Ian Smith's hot on this tonight. Here is Gareth Carvel for Warrington. There's pace for you. Oh, Carvel twisted an ankle. He has, you know. Gareth Carvel. And there's a problem also for Simon Worrell.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Shearer, right, don't play it.
Well, this is a major concern for Warrington, isn't it?
Worrell got one of his own players.
Treat him after, out to the line, please.
One of his own players gave him a right elbow, right in the mush.
Breers. Over the top, he finds Bridge. Bridge goes through Ryan Hall and can't get away from Senior.
Stand!
Knock on. Oh dear, that's contentious.
I'm sure the Senior was loitering, if it wasn't with any intent, but hanging around, trying to get on with it. He's certainly in the way of a man playing the ball, and I think Mr. Smith is not too impressed with his namesake. I mean, that's a man with a whistle. Ian, that is.
8 minutes, second half gone. Adrian Morley returns to the fray. Oh, the hack downfield from Sinfield, and a chase between Mathers and Hall. And Mathers gets there first. Did brilliantly well then, the Warrington fullback.
Isn't it great to see, though, that a team will at least try something like that? If you've got a fast player on the field of play, kick straight from the scrum base. But good work by Richard Mathers.
Leeds did it in the second team match before this game, and he actually scored in the corner. I'm sure if Warrington sat here early enough to witness that.
Well, Mathers,
the thing when you play against Leeds is the pace that they have. We've got some spark plugs like Webb, Maguire, Burrow, and although they've not actually been playing at their best, they can always come to life. I think the thing that Warrington have done really well is contain the offloads. Here's the lost possession penalty, knocked it out to go into the referee.
Not the ball out. Right, 2-on-1, it's been deliberately not taken.
Breers. Well, Burgess certainly had a hand in there, pushing the ball away from Breers.
Certainly lost it, but the referee said it was knocked out by Lautiti. Here is Breers again. Now it's Morley. Good drive in from Morley.
Carvel looks as though he's shaking off that twisted ankle.
Clark pops it up. This is Mitchell.
Is he going to have a run, Carvel? He can eye the big fella. No, they're going to blind.
Great ball, great try. Louis Anderson. John Clark with the pass. Referee has not given it yet.
Just checking it.
Well, he went very close to the dead in goal, but he gets it down first, don't worry. He just wants to check, which is fair enough, but he gets it down. Just there.
Nothing wrong with that. This will be a try for Warrington, and it is. They increase the lead. Louis Anderson adds to the try in the first half from brother Vinny. And Louis Anderson, his new 2-year deal signed in June. He got a try here last June in a 32-12 defeat.
This is the incident where it was deemed that Lautiti or Burgess either way punched it away from Breers, and Clark sends it right in. It's been a problem for the Rhinos, hasn't it? Remember, in the first half it was Monaghan on 2 occasions from the dummy half position. On this time it's Clark, and Louis Anderson says, try to stop me if you can. They're bossing this game of the Wolves.
They are bossing it. Louis Anderson's try, and a chance here for Bridge to maintain a perfect goal-kicking record tonight. And he makes no mistake. 18-8. Warrington establish a 10-0 lead early in this second half, a 10-point lead early in this second half.
But once again, Leeds, they're not getting themselves prepared in the first and second marker. It was a real shambles, wasn't it?
And again, Steve, it's exactly what Monaghan done in the first half. When you get out and you run to the B defender, your shoulders have to face in, and you've got to defend the play with the ball in hand. But you've got to give a big rap as well to Adrian Morley and Gareth Carvel. They were lined up opposite the sticks in the middle of the park, which attracted the Leeds defenders to the open side of the play.
Could be a significant weekend, this, for the Huddersfield Giants, because if Warrington hang on to this situation, then Huddersfield will hang on to second place. Meanwhile, Jamie Jones-Buchanan has forced an error from Ben Westwood. It's a knock-on, although the referee did have a look at this, and it was certainly knocked out, I think, by Jamie Jones-Buchanan. He consulted the touch judge before giving the knock-on. Remember, they don't get the benefit of these excellent replays. He doesn't see that.
It was quite clear, wasn't it?
Well, it was there, but of course the touch judge over on the far side and the referee can't be expected to have eyes everywhere, and it's very difficult for them. We keep emphasising that. Well, when the ball comes out, it really is tough.
It is tough, but I must say Leeds are very sluggish. I don't think I've seen them as bad as this for a long, long time.
Well, it's a mile forward. A mile forward from Lautiti.
He's got it as the official. They're celebrating the defensive effort, but he'd already got the forward pass. Not too happy, Ryan Hall. Not there in numbers. We haven't seen much, though, have we, from Rob Barrow. He tried a couple of darting runs in the first half. Danny Maguire, as I say, is yet to ask a question of this Warrington defence, as yet.
2 weeks ago, Warrington were beaten at Huddersfield. It ended a run of 5 wins in a row away from home. They've been pretty good on their travels this year.
And again, look, watch Westwood. No rush, take it steady. Possession is vital. They know they can get through this Leeds defence, get to the halfway, kick and chase. Might be monotonous for some, but it's effective.
Breers to Morley. Morley with a good run, gets the arms clear, can't get the pass away. That's tackle number 4. They're over halfway now with John Clark and Gareth Carvel again. He's taking on Sinfield, who stands his ground. Last tackle here for Warrington. Monaghan, Breers, kick out wide, finds the winger. Leeds have it back.
Well, that's the first real panic that we've seen from Warrington. And I'm not so sure that Tony Smith would have enjoyed that little kick over to wing, rather than he'd have liked it to have been digged right into the in-goal area, applied the pressure.
Webb is grounded by Morley's tackle, and here is Jamie Peacock. The Rhinos have had to come from behind to win each of their last 3 games at Headingley. They have to come from behind tonight if they're going to win this. They've actually won the last 4 at home, but they have had to dig deep. And they're having to dig deep again tonight. This is Warrington looking no mood to let them have it. And that's the turnover. And I think Simon Worrell lost the count then.
Well, I think they all lost the plot there. Brian McLennan will be furious, get the message out.
Let's get down to Rod for some news, injury news. We've got Brian Carney to confirm, and we have news of Simon Griggs, I think, Rod.
Yeah, well, there's good news on the scoreboard for Warrington, isn't there? 10 points ahead, but not in the changing room and in the dressing sheds, because Brian Carney with that suspected broken arm, Simon Griggs is still in there with a shoulder problem. He's been in for 10 minutes getting treatment. I don't think he'll be back. They've got 6 interchanges to make, or 4 interchanges to make, sorry, but they've only got 2 bodies to make them with, in Cooper and Harrison. So Tony Smith's going to have to do a lot of thinking up in the Erie that he is at the top of the stand and work out how he's going to utilise his diminishing number of troops.
Good pass that was from Carvel to Briers. A good job that Senior snaked out the arm and brought him down. Last tackle here for Warrington. Monaghan, measured little kick and played up by Ryan Hall. So it's hey lads hey for Warrington. And they close him down.
Again, basic. Good, solid, hard work in the forwards, get them in a position, kick in the chase. Remember, they tried something a little bit fancy in the last time they had possession, but not on that occasion. Dink it into the corner, apply that tourniquet again.
Peacock cut down by a great tackle by Adrian Morley. Brent Webb to Keith Senior. The South Stand here doing their best to rally their troops. It's Webb again. Webb to Maguire. Maguire with a little dancing run. He's got one on his inside. Now then, a chase. Mitchell's after him and does well.
First time we've seen Danny Maguire take on that defence, and he got himself through.
Oh, and it was brilliantly read again by Lee Mitchell. The ball coming out the back door. And he said, thanks very much. I think that was Mike Ratu who tried to get the ball away.
Certainly was, just a little bit too much panic there. Mitchell, very, very alert indeed.
And that's what's very impressive about Warrington for me. The amount of times that they break and they get back in numbers covering each other. So it was Mitchell who was chasing back Webb, who forced him to offload that ball. And then again, when the offload was there by Ratu, he put himself in a position to take the pass.
Carvel had a magnificent first season for Warrington, this man. As I say, he was here at Leeds once upon a time. 3 years, but only 4 substitute appearances in that time. Briers goes for the big hump downfield, and Ryan Hall's underneath it. He gives the ball to Donald in midfield. Donald gets away from the would-be challengers, and gets away from another, and Donald is quick. Is he as quick as Clark? He's quicker, but Clark got a hand to him, and Johnson finished him off. Good run from Donald.
Was it ever? Tremendous play there, because he knew he was going towards the whitewash. Remember, still a bit slippy on the surface there.
Diskin, Sinfield, Burrow to Ablett. Warrington muscling up in defence again. Diskin will come back this way. Finds Lee Smith. Lee Smith gives it to Maguire. I don't think that's going to be given.
You'll have to have a look at it.
Maguire has just given himself up, really. He punched his own hand, and it was frustration on the face.
Oh, I've seen them given. I've seen them given. That is fingertip control. They'll slow it down. Ball carrying arm has not hit the deck yet. He loses it there, but regains it. This is try time, folks.
That's a great effort.
And what about the offload there from Lee Smith? That's got to be given. He does lose it for a split second, and that's there. But then regains it with the fingers. That's got to be given. That's got TRY written all over it.
Well, Ben Thaler's the video referee. Let's see if Ben Thaler agrees. Maguire, he really gave himself up at first. He didn't believe he got it down, and neither did I. But it just shows you cameras never lie. And Maguire, he comes up with a try. He got a try against Wigan last week. He's actually scored 10 against Warrington over the years, so make that 11 now. And his first of this season came in the win at Warrington in March, Tony Smith's first game in charge.
Great offload there by Lee Smith, and good support by Maguire, who reached out, got the fingertip control. And remember, it all came about from a wonderful run from Scott Donald.
Sinfield pumps over his first kick of the match, which is unusual. That's one successful kick from 3 from the Leeds captain, and you don't say that very often about Kevin Sinfield.
This is a run that set it all up. Just poor defence, and watch how he realises they're coming in. Slippy conditions, go to ground quickly, and from a quick play the ball. Well, he's been quiet throughout this game as Danny Maguire, and all of a sudden he's had one good run and he's scored a try, and Tony Smith knows that they are in another battle.
Kick off straight to Maguire, who gives it to Peacock. Well, they want a big last 21 minutes, the champions, to try and keep tabs on Saints at the top. Huddersfield, as I said earlier, they will beat roaring Warrington home. Monaghan hanging on to Worrell. That was Diskin. Lee Smith quick play the ball. Peacock finds Burrow. Here is Webb. They have a man on the overlap wide. This is Ratu. Bria's got to him though with a good tackle.
It's amazing what a try can do to the side. All of a sudden they've found that spark. They've got a bit more zip.
Warrington doing well in defence. Burrow. Sinfield will hoist a high kick here. And this is a chase. Mathers is underneath this. And Ablett, he could hear Ablett breathing down his neck. Ablett just waited till the ball was in his hands before hitting him in the tackle.
Tremendous play by 2 players. Defused the high bomb. Ablett made sure he didn't touch him while he was in the air. Well, the ploy by Warrington just to keep plodding away, don't rush to play the balls. They stood them in good stead. They've still got that 4-point lead. No point in changing your tactics now.
Bria's goes for a 40-20. Oh, maybe Ryan Hall, I was going to say maybe he shouldn't have let that bounce, but he had no option. It was a great kick over the top of him.
Now it's important that Warrington get there to him. Remember, it was Donald that got them way back upfield that allowed Leeds to score that try. A lot different than that occasion. The chase was much better.
Mike Ratu, there's Scott Donald, the man who helped create the try for Leeds a few moments ago. And Ratu did a great job in his first start at Wigan last week, didn't he? Here is Senior. Burrow to Jamie Jones-Buchanan. Over halfway on tackle number 4. Diskin, Peacock. Good tackle by Mike Cooper. Last one. Sinfield, up it goes again. This time a tester for Paul Johnson. Oh, Johnson has lost it. Knock on by Leeds.
Scrum down, so went back from the Warrington. Scrum down, Warrington in field. Back from Warrington. No, because he...
Well, they did Johnson lose control whilst facing. Now, to me, that has got to be the knock-on from Johnson. I mean, as soon as it hits Lee Smith, it's got to be deemed, if it's going forward, it's got to be deemed as a knock-on, and it should have been Leeds' head and feet. Well, I think he's given it to Warrington.
It went back from Warrington.
Well, he's confused. So am I.
The players are confused. Nobody seems to want to get on with it.
I'm with you, Brian. Brian McLennan, that is, not you, Eddie.
I thought you'd had a senior moment then, Steve-O.
We have quite a few.
You feel, don't you, that Warrington have got to complete this set of 6. They're not making as many yards up the middle of the park like they were in the first half, and Leeds all of a sudden seems to be chewing up that yard. In the last set of 6 that they had, they made 60 metres with the ball, and this is where they're just really starting to hurt Warrington down this end of the park.
It's Leeds' turn to defend though at the moment. Clark, Ben Harrison.
It's amazing how a game can turn, though, isn't it? Remember, Warrington only 1 missed tackle in the first half, and then that poor kick and chase where 3 men couldn't get to Scott Donald, and it changes the game around. But Warrington still hold that 4-point lead, though.
They do. That was the last tackle. Bria's shaped a kick. He fooled Peacock. Oh, that's a shame. This is Ablett. Ablett's on his front of him. Well, two men back, play flat out. Breers is one, Seen is another as this movement continues. Peacock, oh, good hit by Morley. What a battle royal that's been between those two. Maguire, Jamie Jones-Buchanan.
Well, that should have been a try. Chris Bridge was well and truly away.
Oh, Jamie Jones-Buchanan wasn't expecting that. There's an unexpected birthday present. Diskin. Burrow. Back to Peacock. Back to Webb. To Jamie Jones-Buchanan. Lee Smith. Lee Smith. Oh, Johnson missed it. Lee Smith levels the scores. A fatiguing. I'll do your trick from last night on the Red Button programme.
You can bottom line if you like it.
A tackle that had fatigue written all over it, that's what I'm trying to say, from Paul Johnson. Lee Smith with the try. His 100th career appearance. A young man in great form since the announcement that he's off to rugby union in 2010. And that's his 8th try of the season.
Well, what was lacking in that first half was good support play, but this should have been a try at the other end. Bridge would have been away. No one would have got anywhere near it. Ablett did well. Possession is vital, and he knows it. Look at the support here. Peacock got the chance to get it away. Wasn't the best. Then Webb. Out it goes. He should have had him. He knows it as well as Paul Johnson.
Lee Smith's try and the kick to come from Kevin Sinfield to give Leeds the lead for the first time tonight. Oh, he's off the pace with the kicking tonight, Kevin Sinfield. We're all square.
Some teams know how to win tight games and some teams don't, Eddie, and that's maybe what we'll find out this weekend. Saints have that rugby know-how. They've pulled out the stops in the last 3 minutes to beat Wigan. Now this is interesting here. What sort of rugby knowledge do the Warrington Wolves have in the final few minutes of the final quarter of this game? 18-all. Do they know how to win a tight one?
We're about to find out over the next quarter an hour or so. Here comes Peacock on the charge. Harrison to meet him. Clark in attendance also. It's not often that you can say that Kevin Sinfield's only kicked 1 from 4. Normally one of the most reliable kickers in Super League. Webb, short ball. Mike Bratu. He's a young man who was on loan at Halifax last year, Mike Bratu.
The biggest problem for Warrington now is that they have not had much possession over the past 10 minutes.
And they're just starting to drop off the tackles a little bit.
Yep.
Been a great effort from them in defence. Sinfield drifts the kick over the top, aims it for the corner. That'll skip away.
Tremendous kick.
Mathers.
Good chase too.
Yes, great chase led by Jamie Jones-Buchanan and the kicker. Now Leeds will hunt the mistake.
Oh, that looked high from Peacock.
Warrington appealed, it wasn't given. Harrison. Every time I see Ben Harrison, he's impressive.
Such a big unit, isn't he? I'm with you, Eddie. He's growing in stature.
I mean, the little fellas like Kyle Eastman and Sam Tompkins that we saw last night, they get all the attention, but there's one of the big boys, and I know that Terry O'Connor, who was in his day one of the biggest boys of them all.
I was just going to say, Eddie, Kyle Eastman and plays like that get the recognition because of the big lads in the middle of the park.
Long kick downfield is collected by Ryan Hall. Chairman of the Forwards Union, Terence O'Connor, parish of Widnes. This is Ryan Hall struggling to get to his feet. Westwood could have been penalised for that. Webb. Short ball to Jamie Jones-Buchanan. Good work done by Louis Anderson. Diskin. He knew he couldn't be touched. And Mike Cooper is no respecter of reputations. He was all over Danny Maguire then. Diskin. Webb. Lee Smith. Stabs the kick in behind Paul Johnson. Goes to ground quickly. And Donald Make sure he doesn't get up. He has to, though, to play the ball, which he does, and this now is Mathers.
Well, it wasn't a wasted kick, was it? From Lee Smith, just dinked it in behind them, realising that just lifted their spirits slightly, Leeds.
Westwood for Warrington.
Well, it's getting towards that period where the drive to the sticks and maybe look for the drop goal is going through the minds of the coaches. Will they get the message out to either side?
Time off. Ben, you need to go off. There's too much blood on your shirt.
And the referee doesn't like the look of Ben Harrison's jersey.
Wait.
So he'll have to get it changed.
Hands off. No, wait. Back to me.
Looks like they're going to make a substitution as well. That will count in the 12 changes they're allowed. Last tackle here for Warrington. John Clark gives it to Breers. Breers slides the kick behind the defenders. Donald has to retreat and pick up.
Surrender!
Well, 11 minutes to win this match. Webb, Monaghan and Louis Anderson. Good tackling. 9th interchange, that was by Warrington. Burgess gets to his feet, plays it to Diskin again. There's the short ball to Ablett. Carvel read the script.
Coming into his own now, isn't he, Matt Diskin? A bit quiet first half, but I must say in the second half he's been much better, more constructive. Showing a little bit more eagerness, especially over the last 15 minutes.
Well, I think Ian Smith's missed another here, because I'm sure that ball was touched in flight by the Warrington defender. He's called the last tackle. The kick from Burrow into open space. Lee Smith's after this. Monaghan better be quick. Gives it to Johnson. And Donald gets him down.
And in this second half, all that Leeds are doing are kicking into the right-hand side. They're coming up with a real big kick chase and pressuring Warrington to bring the ball back. They're really suffering. It's taken 3, maybe 4 tackles to get the ball into the centre of the pitch. And Leeds are cramming in really tight. And it's very difficult to bring that ball back when Leeds are in such a mood and they want to defend.
This is Mathers trying to do exactly that.
Well, this is a time for the 40-20, isn't it?
Well, Warrington, I don't think Warrington have kicked one all year, despite the fact that Lee Breers is one of the better exponents of the art. Last one.
Well, he's over the 40 now, so it looks like he's going to just chip it over. No, dink it to the corner.
Good kick.
Try to force the error. Is the chase good? Yes, it is. They're there in numbers.
Ryan Hall will try and skirt around Monaghan, but that's a great chase from Monaghan. Scott Donald. Another good hit. Mike Cooper. Burgess.
Interesting, Richard Mathers is way downfield. There's no sweeper being pushed back. No wingers have dropped back yet.
Here's Lauatiti.
Johnson might start running back now.
Here's Peacock. Gets round at Morley for once.
Great run. Just lifted the energy level then.
Burrow to Sinfield. Oh, Clark's after him. Still managed to get the kick in. Pumps it down into that corner again. It's going to go dead, is it? Is it going to go dead? Yes, it is.
Good option.
18 all. And 8 minutes, 15 seconds remain.
Good kick this here, Eddie.
2001, 24-24 here. Donald did ever so well.
Well, that was tremendous. That was quick thinking, though, wasn't it, by Breers? Realising that they need possession. Oh, lucky was that. Just, the boot was hovering over the whitewash. And he was able to drag it back in. This is the drive time, and this is the 1-point time.
Ooh. Burgess is dumped to the ground. I must say, Leeds look very tired today. Lauatiti, good tackling again from Warrington. Remember, Leeds will have the week off this coming weekend. Warrington,
another drive
with a little affair against Wigan. Webb on a weaving run, finds Sinfield, finds Maguire. Reckless pass to Johnson.
Why on earth did they want to do that? Why didn't they go and set up? That was sheer panic. Their coach, Brian McLennan, will be wondering what on earth they were thinking about. It was on. The first real opportunity. Sheer panic.
Anderson again.
Surrender!
Warrington won't make the same mistake.
Mike Cooper now.
Surrender!
Clark to Carvel.
They know exactly what they're doing.
They're trundling it up the middle, aren't they? And Breers, the king of the drop goals, is out there, and Morley takes them to within 20. And Breers is out there on the right-hand side. They give it to Breers, and it's charged down by Peacock. Bridge tidies up
Back
for
to
Warrington,
one.
but the tackle count wiped clean.
Well, it seemed to take an eternity there. He didn't give him much room, did he? Lee Breers.
The last two times that Warrington have won here, Lee Breers has dropped a goal. That was nearly the hat-trick. Mathers! They're at it again, Warrington. They're driving it up the middle. Here is Monaghan.
Well, Breers will give him room this time. They might even go early. They might go now.
Breers is waiting. Breers is there. It'll come back to Breers. No. They go wide and find Westwood. Westwood gets it away. This is Chris Bridge. Bridge then to Mike Cooper, takes it back over there. Cooper! Try! Wonderful effort from Mike Cooper. A tremendous try. They were waiting for the drop goal from Breers, the Leeds Rhinos, and Cooper just saw the disarray down that left-hand side of the Leeds defence, and he drove it back in, and he snaked out the arm, and he scored the try that just might tip this game Warrington's way. First of the season in Super League for Mike Cooper, the super sub, and Warrington back in front.
Well, the defence were expecting. They were expecting the 1 point. It was a beautiful offload, wasn't it? But then came the big fella. Get out of the way. That was poor defence. But all the world, they came out, they rushed Breers, but wonderful inside pass by Westwood. And here comes the big fella. Get out of the way. That's game. That's a ball game as far as I'm concerned. Are they happy? Oh, you can bet your life they are.
This is quite interesting now, Eddie. You know, the referee has stopped the clock. He did say to Warrington, you've got 1 minute to take the kick. When the 60 seconds had elapsed, he stopped the clock here now. I'm not sure how long Warrington were taking Bridge to take this kick here now. It's an important conversion and a difficult one. 12 metres in.
It is, and he has not missed a goal yet tonight, has Chris Bridge. He knows how important this is. Oh, it's the first one that he's blasted wide. There we are, 22-18. Bridge misses the goal, but what a try from Mike Cooper. He missed almost a full year in 2007, a dreadful broken leg. Another youngster who's come back, and it's his first in Super League for 3 years, that.
The determination to get over the line now. They've got to watch this short kick-off here. It's gone to Lower TT and Senior. They've gone through here. Westwood's the first to it.
Westwood very alert then.
He's had a big game, hasn't he? Really put himself about.
Tell you what, Warrington deserved this.
Yeah, they do.
They played really well.
There was a purple patch by Leeds for around about 15 minutes, but apart from that, you always had the feeling that Warrington had bossed it. Oh, Carvel's come up with the error.
An error, and it gives it to Lauertiti. This is a chance for Leeds. Can they capitalise? Jamie Jones-Buchanan. Diskin finds Maguire. Here is Sinfield. Now it's Lee Smith again. Warrington come back in defence. The man who's hunting was the try scorer, Mike Cooper.
You'd put your money on little Rob Burrow, wouldn't you?
Here he is. Lauertiti over the top. Looks forward. Ryan Hall scores, does he?
Richard Mathers has got his body underneath.
He's held up. The referee doesn't hand that up to the video referee. The tackle count will continue 10 metres out.
Boy, that was a wonderful effort. Mathers right underneath Hall.
Hero, villain and hero again in this match. Peacock.
Where's Beep Burrow?
Sinfield, Maguire. Back inside to Webb. And Cooper, tremendous defence from the try scorer. Diskin will come this way. Sinfield slides the kick in. Played at. Back to one. He wipes the tackle count clean. Another opportunity for Leeds. Oh, I tell you what, the Warrington fans are biting their nails. Peacock.
Well, a worried man out there will be Gareth Carvel. He came up with the error that gave them a chance.
Diskin, senior, Burrow. Rob Burrow! Held up by John Clark's tackle. Plays the ball. Here is Maguire. Maguire, underneath the challenge of Cooper, takes it back wide. Finds Lauatiti. Lauatiti will bring it back up the middle. Lauatiti for Leeds. Great defence from Warrington again.
Couldn't get the ball to Webb. It would have been a try.
Diskin fires the pass. Sinfield out wide. Donald will go in the corner. Scott Donald. The level again. And it's the second try for Scott Donald. And Kevin Sinfield, who has not kicked well all night, 1 from 4, has a kick from the touchline to win the game for the Rhinos. Warrington, a little bit like Wigan last night in the final minute at St Helens, they believe that perhaps a game that they should have won has been stolen from them. It could be a draw, it certainly could be a draw, but Sinfield now has one of the biggest kicks of his season coming up.
Golden opportunity again when they got the second set of 6. Donald fumbled it from that apart, but he was going to be a hero seconds later. He took a huge gamble, didn't he, Sinfield? But Donald, who's had a fine game both in attack and defence. And Gareth Carvel must be hanging his head in shame, because it was him that came up with a knock-on that has allowed the Rhinos to level the scores. This is a vital kick. He has not been in top form, has he, Kevin Sinfield, today with the boot? But he's a man that can handle the pressure. Tension written all over his face.
It is, and look at the way he is lining this kick up. There it is, a 4-degree target angle. He never ever takes it back very far. He does make it a very acute angle to kick, but this kick to win the match, and he's had a shocker with the boot. But all is forgiven now. Kevin Sinfield wins the match for the Rhinos, and Warrington, they must feel like they have been mugged at Headingley.
Unbelievable from Kevin Sinfield. If you've got to keep your nerve, there's the final hooter. If you've got to keep your nerve at a time like that, and no better man to take that kick for Leeds than Kevin Sinfield.
85% kicking ratio this year, Kevin Sinfield. 84 from 99 before tonight. 2 from 5 this evening. But importantly, after Donald went over in the corner, Sinfield from the touchline held his nerve. And he's won the match for the champions.
And that just goes to show that this Leeds side has got so much character in it. Here you go, look at that. Straight between the uprights. No pressure whatsoever from Kevin Sinfield. And there's the fans in the south stand. They go wild. That's what it means to the Leeds spectators.
And they move back to second place in the table. They scored 5 tries to 4, Leeds. But Kevin Sinfield made us all bite our fingernails down to the quicks because he missed with 3 of his previous attempts. But that is a champion performance from a team that really was on the ropes for so long. If you can win when you're not playing well, well, you've got a good chance of picking up the winner's ring at the grand final. Here's the man of the match. Why not? Scott Donald's 2 tries. He's with Rod.
Scott, your man of the match, there's the champagne that goes with it. I remember you scoring a try in the last second at Bradford a couple of years ago. Similar tonight. Just tell us your emotions when that ball broke to you on the far side.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? Kevin there, he threw a wide ball out and it was bouncing along the ground, and in a night like tonight it was going to be tricky, but thankfully it bounced up nicely and I was able to get across in the corner.
You feel that you've picked Warrington's pockets there?
I'm not sure. I think it was a great game. It was, you know, to and fro. We got the lead, and they had the lead as well. So I think it was a great game for rugby league, and especially considering the conditions.
That's 5 times in the last couple of months you've produced a second-half fight back to win. What does that say about the team?
Yeah, I mean, the character amongst the boys is really good at the moment. To be able to come back, like you said, time and time again, is a really credit to ourselves, and we're just building towards the finals now.
£100 to the charity of your choice, Scott, as well, for the Man of the Match award. Where will that go?
That'll go to the Children's Ward at St James's Hospital.
Lovely, nice one, Scott.
Can I just say happy birthday to my daughter who's won today. Happy birthday, Tali.
Just done it. Let's bring in the Leeds captain, Kevin Sinfield, who's understandably delighted. Kevin, I've seen the amount of time you practiced taking goal kicks in training. It wasn't your best night tonight, but you produced a brilliant kick from the touchline there. Just tell us about practice making perfect.
I just thought I was due one. You practice, you go through the same routine. I missed a couple earlier, and you know, if I get them kicks, we'd have won the game. Beforehand, it wouldn't have got that far, so I felt I owed the guys something, and that's why you're practicing it for times like this when you need to rely on it.
It's a pretty nerveless effort, to be fair, with all that on your shoulders.
I might not look nerveless, but my heart will go in 10 to the dozen, so just relief more than anything, because there's a lot of pressure, and you're in a no-win situation. So
it's a very significant win for you too, as well, with Huddersfield going above you last night.
Yeah, Huddersfield are going great, but we were awful last week, me personally and the side, and we need to show a response tonight, and we knew Smithy would have Warrington fired up, and they certainly were. They're much improved, and you know they're going to really shake the playoffs up, I'm sure. But we need to get back on track, and the 2 points are really important for us.
Well done, Kev. Thanks very much. Let's bring in Mike Cooper from Warrington, and I don't know where to start really, Mike, but I guess you're thinking a couple of minutes before the end that you've won the game for Warrington there.
Yeah, I think I celebrated a bit too soon there. It's just too many stupid penalties. Give too much possession, and you can't do that against a team like Leeds. They're gonna kill you, and that's it. You know, if we hadn't given so many penalties away, drop ball, you know, maybe it'd be a different story.
What was that last 2 minutes like when they were laying siege to your line? Did you think you'd just about got the job done?
No, it was pretty tough, and you know, when they get a roll like that, it's hard to control them, like it is with any team. But yeah, too much spill ball, and you know, but we'll get it right. We'll put things right.
Thanks for talking to us, Mike.
You're welcome.
Must be bitterly disappointed. There'll be people who will leave here today and say the best team's lost tonight, because Warrington took the game to them every inch of the way. 24-22. Leeds, Steve-O, yet again have come back late on and pinched another.
Yeah, they certainly have had. I'm sure that Warrington will wonder why on earth that they've come away as losers, because soon as the restart, Clark neat pass to Louis Anderson. That made it 8 points to 18. And you thought, well, Leeds have to come up with something pretty special, and it certainly was. Wonderful stuff here by Donald, and you can see that he gets himself into a good position, doesn't go anywhere near the touchline. It was pretty wet conditions, and for once Leeds, Diskin offloads, and Lee Smith, good support play. Maguire, how on earth did he get this down? He did, and that just put him back into the game. That could have sealed it. Breer's pass, it could have sealed it there to Bridge, but when they got back into the same position, it was all keeping the ball alive. Warrington's defence were under all sorts of pressure, and Johnson couldn't stop Lee Smith. This was a charge down by Peacock when Breers had 18 all, and you thought, well, maybe a draw, Leeds will get away with it. But then when Mike Cooper, this was very poor defence. Poor defence indeed. They'd gone out looking for the drop goal, but young Cooper, get out of the way. And then Carvel, he comes up with the error. He'd had a big game up until that moment. And then right at the death, Sinfield's long pass. Donald, he's done it again. And the pressure from the touchline hits Rhinos home.
Well, what does it mean to the table? It means that Leeds have leapfrogged the Giants. They're 2 points behind Saints at the top. Huddersfield are 2 points behind them. Hull KR will play tomorrow at midday at Castleford. Wigan, of course, their weekend is over. Wakefield, they have to play. No, they won last night, didn't they, at Salford? Castleford have to play, and Warrington clinging in 8th place in the table, hanging on to the playoff place. But Harlequins, they play tomorrow. Catalan Dragons are playing this evening, right now. And, well, everything else perhaps will be academic below them, but we'll wait and see. Bradford have still to play, of course, and they believe that they have got a big say yet in the makeup of the playoff places. Sensational again. I mean, the finish was magnificent, but poor old Warrington, you know, they deserve to win.
Well, maybe not. I don't think it does, though, for the competition. It's absolutely fantastic. 4 rounds of the regular season to go, and already we know that the teams in 8th and 5th can go to the top 2 sides at Leeds and St Helens and almost win. Push them, take them to within the last 60 seconds of the match with the game still in the balance. And that is a mark, really, of a competition that Wigan and Warrington have really challenged the best 2 sides in this competition. At the moment, Leeds and St Helens seem to know how to win the game, and that's just a difference, the smallest difference. But I was impressed with Warrington's response. You know, when the final hooter sounded, some of the players dropped against their feet, onto the knees, and almost lying down. Lee Breers insisted they get up quickly. They can't show that devastated behaviour again that, you know, we've struggled and we've pushed it ourselves so far. They have to cope with that sort of response because there's still a long time left in the season.
Yeah, Lee Breers wouldn't have any of his players sitting on the deck. He went to each one of them, as Phil said. I think, you know, Steve-O, that in a funny sort of way, Leeds will be delighted they've got the weekend off next week because they're not in the Cup. They looked absolutely shattered at the end of that. Warrington have to go again.
Yeah, and I must say that I was pleased with the way that Warrington, their tactics were excellent, weren't they, really? Because they just utilised the forward, got into a good position, kick and chase. They didn't show any panic until the end of the game. And it just shows you that so many mistakes. 4 knock-ons and 4 tries were conceded. It just shows you've got to concentrate for the full 80 minutes. Gareth Carvell didn't do that. And Leeds, like St Helens, as Phil has already mentioned, they are past masters. They'll snatch it in the dying seconds. They do it all the time.
Phil's point is well made. The teams in 8th and 5th have taken the league leaders all the way on Sky Sports this weekend, and it really does augur well for the playoffs that are to come in the month of September. OK, Thursday, Oldham against London Scholars is our championship offering from Championship 1, 7:30 Sky Sports 3, and Friday, the 14th, it's Challenge Cup semi-final next weekend, so we all have the weekend off in the Super League. Wigan Warrington, 7:30 Sky Sports 2 on the 14th, followed by Super League Extra Time. And on Sunday, the 16th, we'll see the team lying 3rd in the table, Huddersfield, against the Bradford Bulls. Sky Sports 2 and HD2 again. Yet another sensational weekend of the Super League on Sky Sports. So tight. Bye-bye. Here is Westwood, and he's got Manners in support, and Warrington over for the first try. Good run from Monaghan, great ball from Monaghan, great try from Vinnie Anderson. Slides the kick in for Scott Donald, too deep. Oh, I tell you what, he's got that down. Great ball, great try, Louis Anderson. To Jamie Jones Buchanan, Lee Smith. Lee Smith, oh! Lee Smith leveled the scores. Bridge then to Mike Cooper, takes it back over there.